Today I'm going to show you guys exactly how to build your own tabletop mini pond from start to finish. So this is basically everything you're going to need to set up a tabletop mini pond. Of course, you need the actual planter and then some soil, a light, a sponge filter, some hardscape, and of course plants. If you picked up the complete mini pond kit off my website, everything you see here you're going to get except for the soil. You'll get this exact soil but in a 3-pound bag, not the full size bag, but everything else here is included in that kit. If you have your own materials, that's okay too. It'll still be easy to follow along with this video. All right, the first thing we need to do is put the soil in, but I can't do anything without light. So let me open this up real quick. These lights are super nice. They clip right onto the side of the mini pond and they're USB, 3 different modes. All right, now that we got our light on, we can put our soil in. So if you're buying soil, about 3 pounds is perfect. If you got my kit, then you're gonna get the exact amount of soil that you'll need for the mini pond. The soil normally comes dry. I'm just using some that I already had used in a previous setup. Next thing you're gonna wanna do is set up your sponge filter somewhere. I like to just honestly stick it right in the middle or off to the side. It honestly doesn't really matter placement wise. And with your sponge filter, you're gonna need to pair it with an air pump. The next thing I'm gonna do is put some of my hardscape in here. You can do this after you add water. It's honestly up to you, and you might move it once you put the plants in, so it could change. You also don't have to use driftwood and rocks as it's not a ton of space in there. I think for this build, I'm just gonna leave the driftwood out and use the plants and rocks only. Now the next thing I'm gonna do is fill this thing up with water. If you don't already know, you should use some sort of water conditioner to get the chlorine out of your tap water. If you don't wanna stir up the soil, I like to put in a gallon-sized bag and let the water hit that so that it doesn't disrupt your soil too much. It's very common with aquasoil to be very dusty at first, even if you rinse it. So this is normal. You just got to connect your sponge filter and let it clear up. So I got my airline tubing here, grab my sponge filter, take this part off, put your airline tubing through there, connect it to your sponge filter. And you can take this off or leave it on depending on just preference really. And there you go, you got your sponge filter running. Give it a few minutes to clear up, sometimes maybe a couple hours. It's been a couple hours now and the water is looking perfect. It's ready to plant, so let's put some plants in this thing and it'll change the look of it completely. One optional thing I'm gonna add is an aquarium heater. This isn't really needed unless you're gonna put shrimp in here or plants that are really sensitive to temperature. I'm gonna stick one in here though, just because my house is a little bit on the colder side. All right, I have a couple different plants here. This one on the right is moneywort and this one on the left, I honestly forgot the name of it, but I'll stick it on screen here. This stuff is really nice. I like the purple and green combination. I think it's gonna look really cool from above. And then moneywort's always one of my favorite stem plants. It's super easy to grow. It loves aquasoil and it does pretty well in mini ponds. All right, now that I got the plants trimmed, I have 2 times more plants and I'm ready to plant them in here. You can use your hands, but I'm gonna use some aquascaping tools. Either way honestly works. I just got a few plants in there and it already looks so cool. I knew these plants would look super good in a mini pond from above. I still gotta somehow get all these in there. Well, I don't really have to put all of them in there, but I'm gonna put some of them in here for sure. I got most of the moneywort plant in there. Some of it I had to throw in my other tanks because this thing is just filled with plants. But honestly, I think it looks really freaking cool. I gotta let the water clear up now. It looks a little cloudy. And then we're gonna stick a little surprise buddy in here. I decided I think it needs a little piece of driftwood, so I broke my original piece since it was a little too big. And I think I'm gonna just stick it over here somewhere. A little bit of extra hardscape. Never hurt anything. Makes it look even more natural. Another optional thing you can do with your mini pond is add floating plants. I'm gonna be adding some floating plants to this one. These are some type of red root floater. I've never had this specific kind before, but they're really nice looking. The mini pond cleared up. This thing honestly looks freaking amazing. Probably the best one I've ever set up. The plants just look perfect. I absolutely love the way it looks. The driftwood, the rocks, and even the floating plants, everything just came together so well. So I'm not going to be adding any fish or anything, but I do have this snail that I wanted to throw in here. I thought he could just have his own little mansion in here. Freaking pretty awesome place for a snail to live. He's going to love it so much. I might eventually get some shrimp for it, or maybe some tiny fish. I'm not really sure yet, but for right now I'm just going to leave it with the snail and the plants. You should only keep the light on about 6 to 8 hours a day, just so you don't grow too much algae, and make sure to top off the pond as it needs it, and of course give the plants a little bit of time to settle into their new environment. Hopefully this video helped you build your own tabletop mini pond, and if you got one of my kits, thank you so much for picking that up. I really appreciate it. Building tabletop mini ponds is one of my favorite things to do. These things turn out so well every time, and I just love the way you can create your own little miniature ecosystem. If you built one yourself, I'd love to see it. Tag DIY Aquatics and send me some pictures, and if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like and don't forget to subscribe for more content like this.